but it's intentional. It takes effort. It takes discipline to combat that natural way of going about communication. Hello, and welcome to Enter the Nebula, episode 32. My name is Mike Ergo, and after a couple weeks off, we're back. I hope everybody enjoyed your holiday and had a fun and safe weekend. This week, we're going to be talking about finding the balance of time, and not in some philosophical way, and not time management, which is what we've talked about in the past, but balancing the time it takes and when it's appropriate to answer messages. Because based on my observations, people really fall into two categories when it comes to balancing the time to respond to messages. Either you're like me, where the second that little red bubble pops up above my app, whether it's my text or a DM or an email, I have to read it and I try to respond to it as soon as possible. Or you're in the other bucket where your inbox has thousands of unread emails and text messages that haven't been addressed, and you just are not naturally looking at them, or you forget, or you get busy, or whatever happens. I know both people, I know both buckets, and neither are right or wrong. In fact, we need to find a balance. And when you look at both buckets, there are narratives or situations that you can create if you don't try to find a balance. For me, in the immediate response bucket, I am constantly trying to avoid situations where I'm making things more difficult on myself. Here's a few things that can happen. I can, if I'm constantly responding to messages right away, create an illusion that I'm not busy, when in reality, I am busy. But I'm making the tasks that I have take longer because I'm stopping every time I get a message or an email. I can also give the impression that I'm always available, or become a crutch for people on my team because they know I'm going to answer them right away. And that's not really creating an opportunity or environment where I'm empowering them to find answers on their own without just emailing me and knowing that I'm going to respond right back with the answer they're looking for. So for me, looking at the way I answer messages is important, and it's important for me to balance the response time depending on the need of the message. On the flip side, let's take a look at people who could be in the other boat. You can create an environment where people think you don't care, or that you're not interested in any of the questions that they have, or that you are too busy and too important. So there's balance that needs to happen on both sides. So, how do we address that? How do we find the balance? It first starts with self awareness. If you're sitting in your chair or on your couch or at your desk and you're watching this right now and you're wondering, what, I'm not in one of these buckets. Odds are maybe you were, but you found a little bit of balance. But to know what bucket you're in just takes a little bit of reflection. When you get a message, is your immediate reaction to read it? Or is your natural reaction to understand that you'll get to it when you get to it? That will tell you what bucket you're in. But self awareness is key, because the next step is to be intentional. It's to be intentional on how you react when you get messages. Again, for me, it's not looking down at the bottom left of my computer or bottom right of my computer, wherever the notification pops up while I'm on a call. It's not looking down at my watch when I get a text message, especially if I'm in the middle of a conversation. It's hard for me. It's hard for me for multiple reasons. Be a little bit vulnerable here. It's hard for me because, having coached 40 plus kids in college, and had some emergencies happen. It's a tick of mine now. I don't want to get a bad message that one of my kids has been in an accident, or something bad has happened to a family member. So when my phone buzzes or my watch buzzes, my knee jerk reaction is to quick look at it. And that's something that I have to work on. On the other side, if you're one who misses texts from friends, or just gets sidetracked and forgets a conversation that they were part of, maybe it's remembering, you know, to set aside time and go through your emails or go through your texts, go through DMs to make sure that you haven't missed an opportunity or missed a conversation with somebody that you want to make sure they're not feeling ignored. But it's intentional. It takes effort. It takes discipline to combat that natural way of going about communication. And for a lot of us who didn't grow up with cell phones, it's something that we just naturally were put into. Nobody talked to us about how to manage these new technological devices that have taken over our lives. For the younger generations, it's probably something that they need to learn earlier on. And it's complicated. It's complicated, and it's a lot. I have 3 screens in front of me, plus my watch, plus my phone. That's a lot of information that your eyes and your brain are taking in throughout the day. So being intentional is key. And finally, it's being communicative. It's communicating to your team, hey, between the hours of 1 and 3, that's my work time. And so if you message me during that time, I'll get back to you outside of those hours. Or, hey, if you're sending a message at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, you're sending it because you want to get it off your plate. Maybe paraphrase it with, hey, no need to answer right now. Because if you have someone like me and you're messaging them at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, they're going to feel like they need to answer it. So it's important as leaders to recognize when and how we're communicating with our people, and when and how it's appropriate to respond as a leader. If we have someone messaging us about something that's not important on a Saturday evening, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, I hear you. Let's take this up on Monday." Now, if you work in technology like I do, and you have support that's 24/7, or you have releases and patches that go in overnight on the weekends, sometimes that 10 o'clock on Saturday call is necessary. So being communicative and understanding the situation while you're being intentional is key. But I think giving you something to think about, finding the balance of when it's appropriate to answer messages or emails and when it's appropriate to wait on them, is something to consider, especially as a leader. I've found that more often than not, when I have somebody ask me a question that I can easily answer, if I don't answer for an hour or two, they find the answer on their own. And I think those situations are powerful too, because you're coaching and mentoring your people to be self sufficient and work independently, which is huge. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to explore some more topics with you over the next few weeks, and would love to hear any new topics that you want me to cover. As always, you can read the entire episode on my website, intellectualnebula.com. If you want to continue to support the podcast as I move forward, be sure to like, subscribe, comment on all the platforms. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.